lock switch works, beautiful, perfect, no problems at all. Difflock, plunger don't work. I'll go through that in a second. But more irritating than that, the gearbox, I was in here thinking, oh, that's quite low down, that shaft there. It's in high range already, and the lever's right down there. What the fuck? I can't move it. I have tried giving it a yank just to see if the pin was loose on the shaft. What can you do? I will say one thing, that when the car came in, this was trapped underneath the cover. Not this cover, but the other cover. So basically, I'm going to have to get the top of the transfer box off, which means, in theory, taking the gearbox cover off, which, I'll be honest, ain't fucking happening. So what I'm going to do here, I think, is I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to lift it up, and I should be able to get the cover out. And then either it'll be a stitch goes back in, or I'll weld it back in. What a fucking nuisance. Really annoyed. I should have checked it. But, you know, I haven't touched the gearbox on this car. Well, apart from fixing the bloody pump at the front. And I just thought I would just double check that the difflock was working, and I couldn't see the plunger moving. I thought, two pipes are working, and if I put the plunger off the B suffix into it, it works. Using the same mechanism I've used before with my Pella 6000. So yeah, slightly unimpressed really. There is nothing I can do about it though. So I'm going to have to, like I say, because we've got the overdrive on this, I shall take the overdrive lever out in fact, because we don't need that in. Will it come out? Should come out. It will come out in a minute. I'll get the thing on it. So the overdrive lever I'm happy with. No problems at all with that. And you can see the bolts on here for the cover, but I won't be able to lift the cover up high enough because of the baffle plate, which is why I need to cut here and here and then pivot it up. Unfortunately. See, get the light across, Richard. Right, okay, as you can see I cut the hole. That was fairly straightforward. Did it exactly as I said. Obviously you need to be really careful of some mega sharp edges. Yes, so I don't think that this gearbox shaft had ever been moved. God knows where the gearbox has come from. I've adjusted it now so it operates within the hole on the transmission cover. There is a slightly more disturbing kind of observation here. The thing is bone fucking dry, and not only that, it's got some fairly heavy duty oil deposits on the inside. So I'm not sure if it's been run up bone dry. You can see it's not really in its first state of youth. All that crap down there is not me. I have not crapped in this gearbox. I'm inclined to lob some oil in there and we're just going to test it. I can't see any other way of undertaking this. So let me pop this cover back on now. I'll have to open up another gearbox gasket set, but that's not really a problem. These things are pennies. Right, this is the difflock down here, and I've been struggling to get the switch set up for the last half an hour because they're not exactly the easiest thing to get access to. It's quite a deep hole down here for now. And you can see here that at the moment the difflock is disengaged because the fork is over towards the left hand side. Now I'm going to apply some pressure using my trusty Pella suction device. I want to see, oh there, difflock's engaged. Oh, that's fabulous. Oh well, that's good news, isn't it? Okay, and we can confirm the difflock is engaged by selecting a gear and if I rock the car back and forth, it's not going any further. It's definitely in gear. Right, okay, so we've rocked the car back and forth. Now, if I take the vacuum away, it is staying in now. So the problem I was getting was that the detemp balls were not fully engaged, and so the difflock was coming off. So now if I give it some more pressure and push the plunger in, there we are, nice, and then pull it out, and just give the car a little rock, just making sure that the difflock is properly engaged. Take the pressure away, see it slid off again. This is the challenge that I have been struggling with. Now, as you've seen on the other videos I've done on this difflock selector, there is a detent ball which goes into a pin on the rod. I mean, all I'm doing by rocking it backwards and forwards is just making sure that the fork is properly engaged. Okay, and I believe that to be properly engaged, and none of the overdrive transfer box or gears are in neutral. No, we're in second gearbox things, yep. Take the vacuum away. Is it going to stay there? No, it's not. I can actually see the bastard thing is moving. So the detent balls aren't working. But at least I know that now. It's not a huge issue. It's just a pain in the bollocks, that's all. It can stay as it is. So what I need to do now is I need to get the switch back in. The way I found to put the difflock switch in is from underneath and holding it in position as I push it over the top. Fanar. So, no, I didn't know what I fucking said fanar there for. Bollocks to it, Richard. You're in a funny old mood today, boy. I can tell you now. Right, okay, so we know the switch works. We're just going to clean the top of the switch off. I'm going to try with no washers to start off with. Now I know what the fault was. And what I have to do is position the switch into the hole, blindly of course, and sometimes it winds straight in, other times I'm going to put my hand across the floor and hold it in position. There we are, that went straight in that time. Fuck my boots. Well, that's the first time it's done that. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tighten that up, and with the difflock off, which it was last time we videoed. If you want to know what the size of that thing is, by the way, the nearest I've found is 34mm. We'll just give him a wee turn, and then I'm going to need the multimeter again. All I'm doing is just checking the continuity across the terminals. Unknot the multimeter because the pixies have been into the workshop and knotting all the cables up in the short time it took me to traverse from the bench to here. Right, so we've got that onto one of the pins. We'll put this onto the other pin, and I'm getting nothing. Right, so difflock switch is open. Let's give it some pumpage. Let's see if we're getting, yes, we're getting continuity through. And then disengage the difflock and we're getting open circuits. So that's good. So the switch we know is working. Now I'm going to have to wrestle to get the two wires back on. And then I can connect up the circuits and see if the dash bulb works. So this is the easiest way I've found of doing this yet. It's a very, very, very long needle nose pliers, grip the terminal and manipulate the terminal such that it's in roughly the right sort of place. Push it on with finger. There we go, there's one. Where's the other cable gone? Ah, there it is. So 2 cables to this. Green should be the switch that comes down from the reverse light switch, and blue and black is the wire that goes off to the bulb on the dash, which then earths. You can see it's a particularly fiddly fucking job, but those 2 wires are on there courtesy of bent jobby. Now we've done that, let me go to the volt range. Ignition is on. I shall attach my earth lead to a suitable earth. It's going to actually be a loom earth here, if we can find one. I could have a bit more light in here, Richard. Could have a bit more light in here. Right, so then we've got a loom earth. We can check continuity of that, of course, by going down to just testing continuity against the engine. So I know I've got a good earth. Back to 12 volts, and really I'm just checking I've got 12 volts with the ignition on at the terminal, which I can't reach because the other terminal's in the way. Right, I'm getting 12 volts there, that's good. And I'm getting nothing on the other side because the difflock is disengaged. So let's engage the difflock again. This will be a shitload fucking easier. I know it's working because the difflock bulb just came on. I don't even need to test the voltage on it. Now that bulb, if I just disconnect, and this is what I'm using to create the vacuum. If I disconnect the vacuum, there we are, the bulb goes out. So the difflock is engaging and disengaging. Right, well that's that job done. The ignition can go off now, otherwise we'll stand a chance of frying the ignition coil.